Hello, welcome back to the Breaking News Update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you are watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got a breaking news report coming out from the UK, and I want to talk to you guys more about the warnings that have been coming out from Western nations that there could be a possible war between NATO and Russia in the future. This is something we've been talking about for well over a year now, but I've got a new report breaking here on your screen. UK is secretly preparing for war with Russia, preparing for direct attack. Britain is overhauling its Cold War era defense preparations in response to growing fears of a direct military assault by Russia. As senior officials warn, the country is ill equipped for war. So apparently, they are actually warning of a modern conflict on their own home soil, and a classified review led by the Cabinet Office is reportedly now underway to update the UK's long dormant Homeland Defence Plan, which is a blueprint not meaningfully revised in 2 decades. So allegedly, this whole blueprint talks about all the war preparations that the UK is going to undertake very soon, and right now they're getting ready for some sort of conflict or war in the future with Russia, and that's something I want to show you guys, and we'll talk a little bit about what the UK is actually preparing for right now. And also, I want to talk to you guys about a story briefly that we went over this morning with our update video for the Russia-Ukraine war. We talked about how Lithuania is willing to spend up to $1.2 billion here very soon to fortify the border with Belarus and Russia. Okay, so that is more signs that NATO is serious and getting prepared for war. If they're willing to spend billions of dollars just to fortify the border, that shows you that NATO is very serious about this. Now we have this report coming out today about the UK. So let's start off with that here. Let's hop on over here to the Telegraph. Now, we're not going to go over this whole report because it is very long, but I do want to show you guys a portion of it that kind of talks about what the UK is preparing for. So it says right here, Starmer prepares for attack by Russia. Officials asked to update 20-year-old contingency plans that would put UK on war footing after Kremlin threats. And it says right here, Britain is secretly preparing for a direct military attack by Russia amid fears that it is not ready for war. Officials have been asked to update 20-year-old contingency plans that would put the country on a war footing after threats of attack by the Kremlin. A classified dossier will set out how the government would respond to a declaration of war, including bunkers to protect the cabinet and the royal family, public service broadcasts, and the stockpiling of resources. Ministers fear that Britain would not only be outgunned by Russia and its allies on the battlefield, but would also be unprepared and poorly defended at home. That's pretty scary to think about if you live in the UK. I know we have some people here on this channel that actually live there. How do you feel about that? Do you feel safe from an attack from Russia? And if war were to break out, do you think the UK would be able to hold their ground? Let me know what you think down below. It also says here, Kremlin officials have repeatedly threatened the UK with a direct attack over its support for Ukraine, which may soon include British troops on the ground. Experts have warned that the country is vulnerable to an assault on its critical national infrastructure, including gas terminals, undersea cables, nuclear power plants, and transport hubs. Okay, so that's something that many top officials of the Kremlin, for example, Dmitry Medvedev, the deputy head of the National Security Council, he's come out many times talking about nuking Europe, sending nuclear weapons on over to the UK, striking facilities over there, launching any kinds of missiles, hypersonic missiles, whatever it might be. We've heard a lot of that coming out from the mouth of Dmitry Medvedev, even Vladimir Putin himself warning about nuclear war. So clearly they're concerned about critical infrastructure in the UK. It also says here, the Telegraph understands that an update to the classified Homeland Defence Plan will set out a strategy for the days immediately after a strike on the UK mainland by a hostile foreign state. It will include scenarios in which Britain is hit by conventional missiles, nuclear warheads, or cyber operations, which were a limited threat when the last significant update to the plan was made before 2005. The plan by the Cabinet Office's Resilience Directorate will direct the Prime Minister and Cabinet on how to run a wartime government and when they should seek shelter in the Downing Street bunker or outside London. The war strategies for the rail and road networks, courts, postal system, and phone lines are all expected to be examined. It is unlikely that the document will be released to the public for decades, if at all. The Cabinet office has already modeled a scenario in which a hostile state launches missiles and cyber attacks on national infrastructure at the same time. A risk assessment published in January found that a successful attack was likely to result on civilian fatalities as well as members of the emergency services, cause serious economic damage, and disrupt essential services. So you can see here they are pretty much examining every aspect of society, from national infrastructure to communications, whatever it might be, and they're preparing for any kind of an attack, whether it be nuclear attack, conventional missile attack, even a cyber attack. I mean, they are looking at every aspect of any type of war that would break out with Russia. Also, it says here defense officials have also called for Britain to develop its own form of Israel's Iron Dome to protect it from missile attacks. If you notice, that's what the U.S. is doing right now, but they're calling it the Golden Dome system, I think, right? Last month, a senior RAF official revealed that if the first night of the Ukraine conflict had played out in the UK, Russian missiles would have broken through British defenses and destroyed infrastructure targets. Russia, China, and Iran all claim to have developed hypersonic missiles that can travel up to 10 times the speed of sound and evade defenses more easily than a conventional ballistic missile. British officials are especially concerned about gas terminals and the country's 5 active nuclear power stations, which could release radioactive material across the country and cause significant prolonged long-term security, health, environmental, and economic impacts if struck, according to a Whitehall assessment. The government has also modeled the likelihood and effects of a nuclear missile attack on the UK, but the official conclusions of that review remain classified. Okay, so lots to worry about here, right? I mean, definitely kind of scary to think about if Russia were to launch an attack on the UK or really any nation. Would they be prepared to defend themselves from nuclear weapons or even, let's just say hypersonic missiles? Because we know they're definitely difficult to be shot down considering how fast they fly. So there is more information here down below. It talks about lots of other things regarding this subject. If you guys want to read that, I will cite it down below for you guys in the description of this video. But now quickly, I want to talk to you guys about Lithuania and what they're doing. Now, we briefly went over this morning. This was a report coming out here on the Defense Post, how Lithuania is going to be spending over $1 billion to mine and create all kinds of barriers like what you see here, like dragon's teeth, to prevent any tanks from rolling over the border into Lithuania. So it says right here, Lithuania to spend $1.2 billion to fortify Russia and Belarus border. You can see the dates here, May 5th, 2025. It says Lithuania will spend 1.1 billion euros or $1.2 billion to fortify its border with Russia and Belarus, including to purchase anti-tank mines, the NATO member on the alliance's eastern flank said on Monday. Lithuania and its fellow Baltic states, Latvia and Estonia, all bordering Russia, fear they could be next in Moscow's crosshairs were it to win in its war against Ukraine. All 3 countries have been ramping up their defenses since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022 and boosting their border security over what they allege was a Russia-inspired influx of migrants at the border. The latest spending push would allow Lithuania to block and slow down the actions of hostile states, the defense ministry said. In January, Lithuania announced plans to spend an annual 5 to 6% of its GDP on defense from 2026 to 2030. The ministry said intensive work was now ongoing to identify how to ensure the integrity of the Baltic defensive line. It said 800 million euros of the overall sum would be spent on anti-tank mines. Isn't that crazy, guys? 800 million euros of it alone would be spent on anti-tank mines. That's going to be a lot of mines on the border between Belarus, Lithuania, also Russia and Lithuania. So, I mean, as you can see here, guys, NATO is preparing for war with Russia. I mean, they are spending absolutely insane amounts of money, for sure in the billions, maybe even in the hundreds of billions at some point down the road, assuming that this war doesn't kick off sooner between Russia and NATO. But we know for sure the Baltic nations have been getting ready. I mean, they've already all withdrawn from the Ottawa Treaty that allows them to start placing anti-personnel mines on their borders. And then now we have this huge report coming out today regarding the UK. I mean, they're also revising this whole blueprint that's going to allow them to prepare for any kind of direct attack coming from Russia. So let me know what you think about this down below in the comment section. But that's going to be it for today's update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.